because I just really enjoy the sport.
Oh, this is really fun.
I started to love it.
It's a life support.
I mean, that's pretty much the only thing I do.
It's just something that I really enjoy.
And we were just like immediately hooked.
I love doing jigsaw puzzles, and climbing in a lot of respects is a jigsaw puzzle. And it's not only just figuring out which order the holds need to be climbed in, it's also battling, your head is, can I do this? Can I reach that? Can I push up enough to reach that next hold?
I like the physical aspect, and then I also like the mental aspect because it's like doing a puzzle with your body.
And it's not just like mindless working out. You have to like try and figure out the problems and stuff. And so that was really like engaging mentally as well. And so just the both of like the physical challenge and the mental challenge just like got us into it like day one.
I love the fact that every time there's something new to try. So Climb Iowa is an indoor climbing gym. We've been here for a little over 15 years. We have two locations. One offers walls that are up to 15 feet high. The other location offers walls up to 37 feet high. We can take anybody from very beginner to advanced. We have as young as 2- and 3-year-olds that climb, and as old as 80. The owners always wanted to give something back to the community, and climbing is a community-driven activity. So number one is community. Climb Iowa got started, I would say, in the early 2000s. My business partner, Diane Bridgewater's daughter, was starting to climb and getting into it pretty seriously. And as Diane and her daughter were touring around the country and climbing in all these different climbing gyms and meeting this wonderful community, they started to understand that this was something that Des Moines did not have, and it was something that I think Des Moines could benefit from. One thing led to another, and they pulled the trigger on opening Climb Iowa in 2008. Climbing was not as mainstream as it is today. You don't see it on commercials all the time, and people really didn't know what a climbing gym was when we first opened. Even though climbing gyms had been around easily for a decade before Climb Iowa opened, in the Midwest they were pretty rare, and so we had to take a lot of time to educate people what we were, and so it took some time, and as we got people in to understand what we were all about, they brought their friends, and it started to steamroll.
Me and my friend, about like senior year of high school, we were like, man, we really want a hobby. We want something that's like physical. And we had a friend, and she invited us to come climbing here. And so we went, and we were just like immediately hooked. And then came in and climbed like twice a week, every week, ended up getting memberships, shoes, and then we were just kind of like involved in it and like absorbed into rock climbing.
Having a really good group of friends and like a set climbing schedule makes it really easy to show up. That's like one thing I really love about climbing is how easy it is to make friends. So you can very much so come in here completely alone, not know anybody, not know what you're doing, and then just get like brought into a group really quickly.
I don't know. I think it did take a while for me to like start making friends in general in Des Moines area. It was a huge adjustment for me to move to Des Moines because I didn't have family. I don't have family here. I didn't have friends. Nobody I was like known here in general. But I think the fact that I joined a climbing gym in the first place kind of pushed me. But it took me about like 5 months roughly to meet like a group of friends, and I met them all here at the climbing gym.
I'd say it's pretty easy. If you don't reach out to people, people will reach out to you. And so that's a great way to just kind of get out of that, like necessarily like closed off shell. And that's a big factor. I feel like the rock climbing community is super like inviting to anyone and everyone. And so it's just like, it's a place where you can come in and feel comfortable, even if you're not necessarily the most social. But just like going up and asking someone, hey, like, what's the beta for this route, can open a doorway to like a great conversation and eventually a great friendship.
Every single time I come with people, it's a It's really a social support. It's a life support, and honestly, it's the only reason I do come back. Because although like fitness is important to me, it's the people that I just have built such deep relationships with here that they just know so much about me, and you get lost in the chatter sometimes.
I usually get here around like 5:30, and I personally do like yoga to warm up, just to kind of like get my joints loose and everything, and then we'll usually climb for like 3 hours roughly, but you know, there's also a lot of talking happening, so I'm not on the wall for 3 hours straight, probably on the wall for like a total of like 30 or 40 minutes. Here it's a lot more like social hour, which is great.
Like mess around, be yourself, you know, you're out of the office.
The East Village was, and still is, an up-and-coming location, and it's a place where younger climbers were located. And our bouldering gym, which climbs under 15 feet high, was kind of geared to that community, because bouldering itself is a more community-driven activity where you get 8 or 10 people climbing at the same time and climbing kind of as a group. Whereas our rope location in Grimes, you're typically working just in pairs. So it's still community driven, but you're kind of working with 2 people as opposed to 6 or 8 or 10 people, you know, kind of hanging out. Somebody jumps on the wall, get down and, you know, hang out for a little bit, another person jumps on the wall and so on.
The number one thing about belaying is just the fact of it's you and another person that are a team. You are working together. The very, very most important thing with it is just the communication. Communication is the goal with climbing.
And the more you get to know people and the more that you climb with them, they kind of just become like a part of you. Like they're just, you know, they've got you if you fall, they're there to help you figure things out. Like they are your people. And you know, if I can trust them on the wall, I trust them with my life, I trust them with the things going on in my life, and you do build those relationships surprisingly fast. And I think people who climb have really open hearts, and they really just want to meet people with similar interests. For a lot of people, it's not about climbing harder, it's not about, you know, reaching a new grade. For a lot of people, it is building those relationships and just coming here and enjoying it.
I mean, just whenever you're at the wall, you will always be hearing people just cheering everybody else on. I mean, it really is a case that it is such a positive community in the sense of like, you'll be working on a project that, you know, it's taken you a few weeks to try and get up the wall. And yet, you know, every second of it, you'll have people that are just cheering you on. Come on, Danny.
When I started climbing, 1, I was terrified of heights. 2, I wasn't very good. And I started climbing with a group of individuals, and one of them in particular was a competition climber, climbed nationally, was crazy strong, and all he wanted to do was to see me succeed at something that was far below his expertise. And I would say we still see that even at Climb Iowa. You'll see that almost every single day. You'll see people that, you know, climb at a very high level, but they're totally willing to climb with somebody that's brand new because they see that energy, they see that fire, that determination, and the determination is the same whether you're climbing at the upper echelon of climbing or whether you just started an hour ago. You know, the reason I have been in the climbing world managing gyms for 25 years is to see the community grow, see how they interact with each other, and just how supportive they are of each other. I would say that the Midwest communities of climbing, you know, whether you're in, you know, Minneapolis or you're in Kansas City or Omaha, which are our closest climbing gyms, they're going to be generally the same. I think as you spread out and you get into Colorado and California and other places where there's climbing, you know, within 10 minutes of the climbing gym, I think the communities change a little bit. There's still always that, you know, community aspect to it, but I think in the Midwest, we are just really welcoming. you know, for anybody and everybody.